Hey guys, I'm going to do an unboxing for you in a little while of a DVD that came out this week. It's not the Power Rangers. I haven't gotten a chance to get that. Maybe this weekend. I don't know. Money's a little tied up right now, so I might have to wait on that one. When I get it, I want to get it in 4K. Because I don't have a 4K TV yet, but I already picked up my first 4K a while back, as you know. So I kind of want to, whenever a movie comes out, and I want it, and it's in 4K, then I kind of want to get the 4K version. So, you know, with a 4K, they didn't have Steelbook or anything like that. They need to get on that more often. But so when I get the Power Rangers movie, I'll probably get the 4K. But this is a smaller release. You probably didn't even know about this DVD release, but I found out about it and I picked it up, and I'm going to tell you how I found out about it. Because first, I'm going to talk about an event that I went to last Saturday, and yeah, and it's pretty cool, and I had fun, and it was interesting, and it was at a new Drafthouse here in Austin, which is the birthplace of the Alamo Drafthouse Theater. This is one they just opened, and this was my first time there, and went to this event, and it's kind of how I found out about this program that I picked up this DVD on, which you probably know what it is already because I probably put it in the title. So anyway, here's what happened. Last Saturday, I went to an event that I found out about through email, probably. Alamo Drafthouse, I'm on their mailing list. So I got their advertisement for a Cartoon Network Boomerang preview of their new show, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Now, I'm a huge Wizard of Oz fan, but more importantly, this was a Boomerang thing. And that meant that in addition to this new cartoon premiere, we were going to see some classic cartoons. Now, Boomerang, of course, is from Cartoon Network. And basically, they spun off of Cartoon Network when Cartoon Network had created so much original material that they didn't want to show classic cartoons anymore, so they made Boomerang. If you don't know this, back in the day when Disney Channel was new, for example, Disney Channel was all classic stuff. There was some original material and there was some new stuff that they imported from other countries and everything. But most of their material was classic Disney from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even earlier, and later, 70s, 80s. It was heaven. Classic Disney Channel was amazing. I was around when it was new. I was a little kid, and you know, I grew up in the 80s. I was talking about this with my sister. I mean, that's when I was little. I wasn't a teenager in the 80s, and I'm glad of that. I wouldn't want to be. But it wasn't my kind of teenage years. The 90s wasn't great for that either. I'd rather be a teenager right now, honestly. But as far as being a little kid, the 80s was the best time for that. I mean, watch Goonies, watch Stranger Things, you know, Monster Squad. It was a great time to be a little kid with your bike, and, you know, you could be out on your bike, by the way. Nobody was scared of stranger danger or anything like that. It was you were starting to hear about it, but we were still all outside alone when we were little. It's pretty bad, really. But anyway, yeah, I grew up with classic Disney Channel and eventually Disney Afternoon, which is like Disney's my favorite thing, and the Disney Afternoon is probably my favorite thing, which is why I'm very excited about the new DuckTales. Scrooge is my favorite fictional character, but I'm getting off topic. We also eventually, this wasn't in the 80s. I don't remember when Cartoon Network started. We had like Nickelodeon, which was very different at the time. But anyway, when Cartoon Network started, much like the Disney Channel, it started with classic material. And then they started having like a few original things, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cow and Chicken. Cow and Chicken was hilarious. I haven't seen that in forever. But yeah, and eventually they had so much that they had to spin off Boomerang, or they decided to, which is actually pretty nice. I wish Disney Channel had spun off a classic Disney network, but I never had access to Boomerang anyway. But anyway, the real reason they're having this event that we went to, my sister and I, last Saturday. It wasn't as much to push this new Dorothy cartoon, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. It was more about pushing their new streaming service, which is boomerang.com. And if you go there right now, you can sign up. And it's actually not a bad price. It's like $4.99 a month, or $3 something if you pay for the annual amount. Then it's basically $3 something every month. Pretty good, really, if you want this kind of service. There's a lot of new cartoons, there's a lot of animated features, and there's classics as well, but they change all the time, and that's the thing about me. See, I like to buy DVDs and Blu-rays. I like to have these cartoons always. You don't know when they're going to go away from these streaming services. They do all the time. I mean, I've got Netflix and Hulu, and things come and go on there. So so I like to spend my money on the discs and have the hard copies, you know. But anyway, if you like, you know, or prefer streaming services, it's a good way to get your classic Hanna-Barbera, classic Looney Tunes and stuff like that. They've got some on there that's, you know, pretty good stuff. And other stuff like the Smurfs and things like that. You can actually go on the website and see what they've got right now. And you can actually watch one of those Dorothy cartoons, one in particular that they actually showed us at this screening. The new cartoon, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. It's kind of what they're using to try to pull people into this network. Although I don't know how well it's going to work. It's a very much, it strikes me as like a preschooler cartoon. Not quite that little, because it's not like Dora the Explorer or something like that, but it's you know, it's aimed at kids. I mean, it's still a comedic cartoon more than anything, but it's aimed at littler kids, I think. But if you love The Wizard of Oz, you can still find some entertainment in it. I'm probably getting ahead of myself again. So my sister and I went to this event, and I was surprised that she went because she's not as into cartoons as I am, but she likes the classic stuff. We were expecting a pretty good dose of the classic stuff. And yeah, like in the advertisement, there were pictures of Tom and Jerry and Popeye and Scooby Doo, and then a big picture of this new Wizard of Oz thing. And of course the pictures of Bugs Bunny and some other characters. So yeah, that's what we were expecting. And so we got our tickets. We went to the new Alamo Drafthouse, the Mueller one. Honestly, the new Drafthouse is in this area that is like a shopping center / apartment complex. It's sort of this new hipster thing that's going around where they build these super expensive apartments, and they're super expensive because they're connected to like these super expensive shopping centers and all that. And the new Drafthouse is in one of these places. And the style of it is it's a very small place. It's actually the theater part is on the second level. And on the first level is the lobby, which is not really much of a lobby. It's like the ticket counter, and there might have been a few seats there. And there is a large, like, bar type place they have. It's actually another room you go into. But yeah, I prefer the other draft houses. I really do. I love the Alamo Drafthouse. It's almost the only thing I do around here because I don't drink and I don't know any other people, and not really outdoorsy. There's some things I like to do, but mainly I go to the Drafthouse and save my money to go to the Disney World once in a while. But anyway, yeah, so we went to this Mueller Drafthouse. Wasn't too blown away by it, but they did have a really awesome Close Encounters area that we took some pictures in on it there on Instagram. I'm Nathan Lee James on Instagram, guys. And there's also there was a glass display case that had some really cool Transformers toys in there. You know, it had cool stuff. I didn't really love the design of the place. I like my other draft houses. I like my Lakeline and my Village. Those are my close ones. And I'll travel to go to the other ones too. But anyway, we got in. And we ordered. By the way, this was basically free. We paid $5 to reserve our seats, but that goes to your food. whatever you order. They deduct the $5 from it. We just ordered some wings and shared them. But so the cartoon started up, and by the way, one more thing before I get to this. I don't think I mentioned this. They used to do cartoon cereal parties, and they were awesome. And basically, it would be like 2 or 3 hours of cartoons, usually with some kind of theme. Like, I only got to go to one because they were always Saturday mornings, and I was always working on Saturday mornings with my previous job that I had in the. I've been here in Austin for like 7 years, give or take, and most of the time I had this one particular job that usually had me working on Saturdays. So I never got to go to the cartoon cereal parties, except I did go one time, and it was a Halloween themed one. So we got to watch Real Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice and maybe Courage the Cowardly Dog, I don't remember. And it was all you can eat cereal. They had every kind of cereal at the front, all the good kids cereals, you know, Lucky Charms and everything else, you know. It was pretty cool. You just go up there and get all the cereal you want. They had all kinds of milk. They had toppings. And you watch cartoons on a Saturday morning with other people. You could be in your pajamas if you wanted. It was really neat. But it was the only one I made it to, and I don't think they do them anymore, and it's really sad. This was not a cartoon cereal party, but I thought it might be similar, you know, the experience. So the cartoon started up, and it was the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz first, and they did two shorts that add up to one episode, and it was Beware the Woozy and Magical Mandolin. And you can go to the website right now and watch Beware the Woozy and get a taste of this cartoon. And like I said, it's kind of aimed at kids, but it's still kind of funny. I mean, it's funny enough to watch, but it's, you know, there's better stuff out there for both comedy and just in general. But if you love the Wizard of Oz, you can still appreciate it. Now, it's based very much on the MGM movie, because that's something that WB owns. If it's not Disney, WB probably owns it, and put it that way. Whatever Disney doesn't own, usually it's WB's got it. Or else there's anime. That's the other third choice there. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with Disney is my number one, but then WB has the DC superheroes, and they've got you know, all the Hanna-Barbera. They've got the MGM stuff, and they've got their Looney Tunes, of course, and lots of other stuff too. So anyway, so the cartoon was cute. It was funny. It was very modern. It was for a very modern, very young audience. I loved that Lion, Scarecrow, and Tin Man tried to kind of sound like their classic voices, their original voices. But it didn't have Glinda, the Good Witch. It had Ozma. And I don't know, Glinda might appear in other episodes, but they kind of had Ozma acting kind of ditzy like Glinda. Anyway, Ozma's the Queen of Oz, if you didn't know. And Dorothy in this version lives with Ozma. It was kind of interesting because it's clearly based on the MGM movie, but you get to see some of the other Oz characters. So that was pretty cool, like Ozma. And I've seen like images, and I know that there's the Patchwork Girl is in an episode, and I don't know who else, but it was pretty cool to see other Oz characters with the MGM style. Now, back in the 90s, we had a cartoon that was Wizard of Oz, and it was from WB, and it was based on the old movie. And it was a straight-up Oz cartoon based on the old movie. It was like continuing from the old movie. So that one was cool, and I give that my vote over this. I don't remember how good it was as far as the writing. I know I've always heard it said it wasn't very good. I don't remember. It is on YouTube. I just haven't like gotten the chance to watch it, and I need to. But yeah, I wish they would put that out on DVD actually. But this one's cute. It's modern. In fact, the Wicked Witch of the West is there, but she's basically just communicates through her crystal ball to the main villain is a young Dorothy's age witch. They're just cutifying the Wicked Witch with this. It's like the Wicked Witch's niece or something. I forget her name. But it's fine, you know, it works. I mean, at least the Wicked Witch is still there, and she still looks like she always did. And they've got the flying monkeys. Those guys were funny. That was a funny thing. At least a little bit. They looked funny. I don't remember how funny they got. I remember them being funny at first. I just don't remember what they did. I remember the other stuff more. One thing in particular I'm going to get to. But yeah, you know, it's okay. I don't know if they should be just using this to try to get people to join the streaming service. You'd think they'd be using something for... I guess it kind of shows you the streaming service is being targeted at younger kids, which is kind of weird that they're going with a Boomerang title, but that's what they're doing. I guess they want to use their whole backlog of stuff. Anyway, so we saw that, and, you know, it was okay. It was cute. It was for the younger set. And then we saw, I don't remember what order the rest of the stuff was in. I'm going to say Scooby Doo was next. And this was actually a classic episode, Hassle in the Castle. Classic Scooby Doo. Great stuff. We had a lot of fun watching that. But then there was another modern cartoon. I'm going to say this was the point where... Maybe it was here where they showed the one that I really liked. And this is what I'm going to unbox today. And this is Bunnicula. And I'm not going to unbox it yet, but this is the new DVD. This is Season 1, Part 1, which I am kind of annoyed that it's not just all of Season 1. But that's the way a lot of places do it now. And this has 20 episodes, which I don't know if those are full-length episodes, or if they're counting, if there's some of them are shorts and they're like counting them individually. I don't know. But it's got a pretty long list here. It's 2-disc. Not a bad release, really. The trouble with getting Part 1 is Part 2 of the season might never even come out. I've seen that happen before. Or maybe there's 2 seasons out there, and because of the sales, you only get the first. I don't know. They screw up TV set releases a lot. I just want the whole complete series. That's the way I like to buy it. But anyway, I had to get it because the thing about me, when I was a kid, we didn't have Harry Potter books, even though I'm a big Harry Potter fan from the movies. We had a variety of things, but I had Bunnicula. That was my book series when I was a kid. I loved the Bunnicula books. I didn't really know anyone else who was into them. I guess it was popular enough, or it became popular enough that there's this cartoon show, right? And I'll tell you, the cartoon show, nothing like the books. Except, you know, Bunnicula, well, he was he had that black and white, like, Dracula design, and he had, like, funny teeth and red eyes, but basically you never knew if he was a vampire in the books. It was just Chester the cat had a theory that he was a vampire, and Chester believed it. And the dog, whose name is escaping me right now, Harold, he was just kind of like, whatever. In the cartoon, they made him a big dumb doofus. But it's funny, and that's the thing about this cartoon. This cartoon, A, it was a nostalgia trip for me. I've always wanted Bunnicula to get more love. And B, it was actually funny. It was really funny. And I think it was real animation, but it's really hard to say. Because something I was going to say about the Dorothy show that I didn't love is it's that really cheap-looking... I don't know if it's the right thing to say flash animation. I don't know if that's actually how they do it now, but... We used to say, oh, that's, you know, it's some cheap flash animation, you know. It's like all that My Little Pony stuff that it just looks like it's done with computers, but like, I don't know. I really need to learn flash animation so I can animate my own stuff. But anyway, it's still, I don't love it. I like hand-drawn traditional animation or Pixar. But anyway, but this, I'm trying to remember, and I think this was actual animation, even though it's kind of hard to tell nowadays because everything's so stylized, but whatever. This was a really funny cartoon. I really enjoyed it, and I loved that it was Bunnicula. I love Bunnicula. But it's very different. Not only is he a full-on vampire with all kinds of powers in this, but and not only is Harold kind of a doofus dog, they don't live with the same family as they did in the books. They live with a teenage girl named Mina, and I think the name is really clever, from the Dracula novel, and her dad, and in New Orleans, which is also very cool, but nothing to do with the book, you know. In 1982, I think, they did a weekend special, which was basically a Saturday morning story of the week animated special of Bunnicula, and it was closer to the book, but then it had a whole plot line where these wolves attack a factory where the father works, and I don't think that had anything to do with the book. I haven't read the book in years and years and years, and probably decades, but I don't really remember the entire plot of the book, but I think most of it was just whether or not Bunnicula was a vampire. But I loved Bunnicula as a kid. I loved it, and I'm really psyched to have this. And this just came out this week, so I'm going to open this up in a little while here. But first, I'm going to finish running through really quick the other cartoons that we saw that afternoon at the Drafthouse. So after Bunnicula, which was just, I was over the moon after that. I was just really happy that that existed, and I was going to go look for it. I didn't know if it was brand new. Turns out this cartoon's been out for about a year, and you probably have heard of it. Apparently it's been on Cartoon Network. I've heard that they didn't really give it very good time slots and didn't really have much of a chance, and it's probably already died out, but I don't know. They're kind of pushing it, which seems kind of late, but they are. I hope it gets some attention, because I want a little plush Bunnicula. I want some merchandise. This was my childhood, book series that I loved so much, and it didn't. There's no. Barnes and Noble ought to have a little plush Bunnicula. Come on, this was a big book series. Anyway, so after Bunnicula, they showed, or again, I don't know if this was the correct order, but they did show a Bugs Bunny cartoon, 2 in fact, and my sister and I were a little bit thrown back by this, because again, it was a new cartoon, and Boomerang has always been known for the place for the classic stuff, and we were expecting some classic Looney Tunes, and so far, all we had seen that was classic was Scooby Doo. So this was the latest Bugs Bunny, so this was pretty jarring, because I don't know if you're familiar with this Wabbit cartoon. It's called, wow, I said Wabbit cartoon, because it's hard to say Wabbit and not start doing that, but this Wabbit cartoon, because it's actually called Wabbit with a W, and this is the latest incarnation of Bugs Bunny, and it's also known as the new Looney Tunes. There was already a new Looney Tunes show, but sometimes they call this the new Looney Tunes, and it's also called Bugs. In some places they just call it Bugs, but if you can find this on DVD, and it's called Wabbit, and it's a cartoon about Bugs Bunny, and it's very, very stylized, and we were kind of looking at each other like, oh god, because yeah, there's good cartoons. I've had some friends say they make new cartoons that are good. Yeah, they do. But they also make a lot of schlocky stuff. And, it's always been the case, I guess. But at least the art, I think, used to be, I don't know, more interesting is a word, but it was better art. Nowadays, everything is so stylized and is really only 3 or 4 different styles. This Wabbit style is reminiscent of what we see a lot on the Disney Channel now, with the new Mickey Mouse. This is the Bugs Bunny equivalent of that new Mickey Mouse, and I like that Mickey Mouse show, but, it's let's take them and let's simplify them and make them kind of look weird and almost not very cute, But, and then there's the other thing, which is turn everything into a doll franchise with a really cheap, again, flash animation cartoon like they're about to do with Star Wars, with the Women of Star Wars, which is what they did with DC Superhero Girls. And I'm not opposed to those things because I like cute girl cartoons, and I'm going to get to see some Jyn Erso animated stuff. But man, that new Star Wars looks like some of the worst animation I've ever seen. It makes me think of this this old cartoon. I forget the name, but they were just still images, and they had like the mouths of real people that were moving, doing the talking, and it almost looks that way sometimes with some of the footage I've seen of this new Star Wars cartoon. But yeah, I don't know. But it's gonna have Jyn Erso. I'm excited. But that's off topic. Anyway, so this Wabbit cartoon, we were like, I did it again, Wabbit cartoon. But this Wabbit cartoon actually was really funny. So I mean, it was pretty funny. I shouldn't exaggerate. It was called Not Lion Lion, and then they showed another one called Ice Ice Bunny, and they were funny because they did actually have some of the style of humor of the old Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes cartoons. So that was pretty cool. So I enjoyed it. I don't mind watching new cartoons. I guess what made this awkward was that I was there with my sister, and my sister hates new cartoons. Because I like new cartoons. I mean, yeah, I'm very behind on it. I mean, they probably don't make it anymore, but I was really into Adventure Time. And before that, I was really into Misadventures of Flapjack. But that's already old. but I just, I haven't seen a lot of what's on there now. I've seen Teen Titans Go, and I actually like it because I'm not like so friggin' desperately in love with Teen Titans that I can't tolerate a new comedic version. I loved, what I saw of the old Teen Titans. I'd like to get that on DVD, but so they're funny now, so it's okay. It's not gonna. They still come out with serious Teen Titans stuff, and I've seen a few other of the newer stuff, but there's a lot of crap going around right now too. But luckily that Wabbit cartoon was still pretty funny. I liked the new Looney Tunes that came on before. I didn't really love the way they changed Lola Bunny. And she was a very funny character, but I just didn't understand why they didn't just create a new character and leave Lola the way she was. And I know everybody's like, but she didn't have a personality. She was just a hot bunny who played basketball and said sassy, like stereotypical, like smart alecky kind of a sassy girl things, And it's like, if you ever saw her in the comics, she did have a personality. It was very similar to Bugs' personality, but she, you want to give her more personality, then do it, but don't transform her into a whole different character. I don't like that. I mean, there's so much room for more female Looney Tunes. Why does Lola have to be the only female Looney Tune, Make more female Looney Tunes. Leave Lola. Develop her character. But they made her like the insane ex-girlfriend, and that's not who she was at all, And I'm a big Lola Bunny fan. The only good thing about Space Jam, except for just seeing all the characters there, and I might have to watch Space Jam tonight, actually. But yeah, the new show was funny, and I actually enjoyed it. And my sister, she seemed to enjoy some of the, she liked Bunnicula, and she liked she thought Wabbit was funny. But we both agreed the really funny stuff was the classic Looney Tunes stuff that they did show, like 2, maybe 3, but I only remember 2 shorts of. They showed a short Tweety and Sylvester cartoon that was Home Tweet Home, I believe was the cartoon. And it was, classic Sylvester chasing Tweety and, all the mayhem. And it was very funny. And they showed a Bugs Bunny. Well, they showed the classic Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck Rabbit Fire, which is one of the 3 where they're doing the duck season, rabbit season thing, which is like some of the best stuff from them. They showed that, and that was just amazing. Best cartoon of the night. I'd have to say, and it was from the 1940s or 50s. maybe 60s, but it was an old one. I don't remember what years those were done, but anyway, no, I mean, of course they made Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny ever since the 30s, but I don't remember what year the duck season ones were done. I can't remember, but anyway, they also did a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and I'm trying to think. That might be all. But the Tom and Jerry cartoon, which I don't remember if the last cartoon we saw was the Tom and Jerry one. It might have been the Bugs Bunny one and Daffy. But the Tom and Jerry cartoon was a shocker. Because, again, they didn't give us a classic one. They gave us one of those flash animation Tom and Jerry cartoons. And this is from like the most recent Tom and Jerry show. And it was funny at times. It had its moments, and it was definitely trying to be like the classic cartoon. But it's just, you're taking something that was as animated as physically possible back in the day of 40s, 50s, you know, when they first came out with the Tom and Jerry stuff. I don't remember if that might have started in the 30s, but anyway, strong in the 40s and all that. Then they turned it into the flash animation, and it's just, it doesn't compare visually, and that does affect the comedy too. Your best bet with flash animation comedy is probably, you know, dialogue, having witty dialogue or something. But I mean, you can do physical comedy with flash, but it's not going to compare to like full animation. There was a whole Roger Rabbit graphic novel about that, about how they were replacing classic animation with limited animation, which was like Rocky and Bullwinkle type stuff. And it was I thought it was a really interesting graphic novel. It was actually a sequel. I believe it was called The Resurrection of Doom, and I have that one, and it is, ever since it came out, has been one of my favorite possessions, really, because that, you know, Roger Rabbit's my favorite movie, and this was basically a sequel to Roger Rabbit. And you know, it's, at times the writing is kind of juvenile, but at other times it's pretty cool. And the art and everything, I freaking love that book. But anyway, so yeah, this was very much, I'll say this, you know, when the night was over, we were like, my sister commented, it's funny how the funniest stuff we saw was from like the 40s. And you know, I can't argue with that. And there's a lot of good animation out now. There's you know, some excellent stuff out there. I mean, Disney makes excellent stuff. There's excellent stuff on Cartoon Network. And some of this was good. It's just like the visuals are not that important anymore, and that's sad, because they used to be a feast for the eyes as much as everything else, as much as being funny and everything. I like cute girl characters, but you know, it doesn't mean that that I would ever say that that's better than classic animation, you know. Overall, it was a mix of a lot of flash animation and a bit of classic animation, and some current animation that I think was actually hand-drawn, but stylized enough to where it might as well have been flash. I don't remember how good the Bunnicula Cartoon's animation was, because I was just so, like, you know, in shock that there was a Bunnicula cartoon. And it was really funny, and I don't think it was flash animation. I think it was like real animation, but again, you know, I don't remember because it's been almost a week. I'm gonna watch that DVD and check it out, and there are bits of it on YouTube also if you want to check it out. For me, the Bunnicula cartoon was the highlight, because I had never heard of it, and it's a new cartoon, and it's a highlight for me. The other new stuff was really weak compared to the classic stuff. And that was my assessment of the shows we saw that day. But I know that the Boomerang.com site has lots of classic shows. It's got classic movies. It's got this new stuff which I know the kids like probably more than they like the classic stuff because it's designed to be for them, you know. The jokes are designed for them. The visuals are brighter, more colorful, and cuter. But and you know, there's good stuff amongst that, and there are things about the Oz cartoon that I liked. It's just you know, it wasn't as funny as, you know, the Bugs Bunny one, or not anywhere near as good as the Bunnicula one for me. So for me, basically the winner of the night, besides the classic Looney Tunes stuff, Scooby Doo's great, but the Looney Tunes stuff is way better. But yeah, one of the new shows, but I actually really loved it. So I went out and I got this. I was very excited. I'm gonna watch it. I really want them to make like a Ty Beanie Baby of Bunnicula. And I'm gonna open this up now. This came out this week, and I'm not gonna read the synopsis because I already described it to you. You can go on Amazon.com and read the synopsis. But anyway, it's got 20 episodes, and it's part 1 of season 1. And this is the way the back looks. It's a list of episodes, and then there's a synopsis. And there's Bunnicula with his one of his powers. He gets these little bat ears, and well, they're bat wings for ears, to where he can fly around. But normally he's got rabbit ears. And then there's Harold and Chester. And Chester is like this bookworm cat who, you know, he was the first one to discover that Bunnicula was a vampire. Like I said, in the book, it was his theory. He believed it. He couldn't prove it, but that was his whole deal in the book. I'm going to do this quick because I'm low on time right now. So we got 2 discs. They've got some silhouette art of Bunnicula and Harold and Chester. That's the second disc. This is the first disc. And you've got this insert. I was about to say before I open this, I bet there's an insert promoting this new Boomerang thing, and there it is. And that's the image that we got to see alongside the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz image when we got that email about the thing we went to on Saturday. All your favorite characters, same thing on both sides. Boomerang.com, all your favorite characters, start your free trial now. So yeah, there's a free trial thing. And it's got this like environmentally friendly, not really, just like cheap, didn't want to give us the full plastic thing there. But yeah, so that's it. It's pretty basic, but I knew there was going to be an insert about this Boomerang.com. So yeah, there you go. I'm excited to go watch this. It's a good show. Check it out on YouTube. You can go to Boomerang.com and you can watch that first cartoon of the Dorothy show, the new Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz show. It's cute. If you like the Wizard of Oz, it's a perfect thing for your kids. And I recommend this. And you can watch them both on Boomerang.com if you subscribe, along with lots of other stuff. Will I subscribe? Probably not, because I'd rather buy the DVDs. They do have on Boomerang.com Tom and Jerry and the Wizard of Oz, and that's a movie that was direct-to-video, and I highly recommend the first one. They did make a sequel this past year. I have not watched it yet. It's probably not as good as the first, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. It might be. It looks like they did the designs the same, so anyway, I'll catch you guys later. I know I rambled on a lot tonight. I was just trying to give you the full story of what we saw and what's out there with Boomerang.com, and I wanted to push this Bunnicula because Bunnicula is awesome. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.